Hi, welcome to the channel. I am Summer. It's all things blow dries today for your bob haircut. We are showing you how to go from flat life wetless hair into a nice full and bouncy voluminous bob blow dry. We are going over the importance of products. Are you applying your products the correct way? Are you using the right amount? We're also going to be going over very easy techniques you can do on your own at home to ensure you get a nice full and voluminous salon style blow dry on your own at home. That's easy. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so we are gonna hop right in. So my hair, as you can see right now, is quite damp. It's not like soaking wet. So contrary to popular belief, you don't want your hair super dry like this before you go to blow dry it. It's really for any hair type, but especially when creating volume. My hair is very straight. But what happens is when the hair is too wet, like I'm more dry underneath, these front pieces are basically dry. When I go to apply my volume products, they are not going to spread the same, and they're also going to work differently because the hair is already dry here. I always feel like if the hair is too dry, that's when you start getting some of that like product feel. And the hair will dry because I've obviously done my makeup. That's how I get out of the shower, I do my makeup, and then I dry my hair. So what I always do is I just grab a water bottle and I simply just re-spritz my hair. And then once that is done, I'm just gonna feel through it. It feels good to me. So it's much more damp, it's even everywhere. These pieces are now back to being wet. And now what I'm gonna do is apply my products. So I use always a root lifter and volume mousse paired together. Sometimes I will even use a third product, but I wanted to keep it simple for you guys. I love a root lifter because especially with my hair type, it's very stick straight. It's much more for one like healthy hair. The oils hit your hair a little bit faster here and you sort of lose that volume. So a root lifter is gonna add more texture and grit to the hair. So what I do when I'm applying, you always wanna give a good shake to the can. I'm just going to apply it along my part line and do this all through my whole head. Now you could opt to do this in just set areas if you want, but I want volume everywhere. So I apply it to my entire scalp. Again, my hair is so straight. There is no bend to it, nothing, and it's very fine. So it easily falls flat. So I wanna make sure I'm giving it the right amount of products so it can counteract what my issues are. And I'm just doing one burst per root area. I'm not applying like where it's all in one section. I'm evenly spreading it apart. And then I'm just gonna do in my crown and all through the rest of my back. So once I have done my root lifter, I just will use my hands and I massage it all into my scalp. This spreads it around a little bit more too. And then we're going to move into the volume mousse. Now volume mousse, you could use this just by itself and apply it on your roots and then your mids and ends, but when I pair it with the root lifter, I only focus it through this mid area and onto my end. So I'm gonna take one pump, ball that big. You could do a little less or more depending on how long your hair is. I'm gonna spread it in my hands and then just work it into this mid area of my head and through the back. And then I'm gonna take another ball, just like that, and we're gonna do it in the ends. So now that that's in, I'm just gonna comb everything through. Start at the ends of your hair and work your way up. Don't start at the top and comb down. Always start from the bottom and work up. And what this does is it just spreads the product through your hair again a little bit easier before you start your blow dry. And then so now that we have combed the hair through, I'm gonna be using a blowout brush today on myself. I'm really good at using a separate blow dryer and brush. I've been doing hair 17 years, but honestly, sometimes I just don't wanna do it. It's a lot more work on your arms and shoulders, and these give you still a great result. So this is specifically a round brush head, and why I use round is because I wanna create lots of volume and lots of bend and roundness in my hair, and this is gonna create that a lot better for me over an oval shape. This is the T3 Airbrush Duo. You can remove the brush head and use this device on its own to just rough dry your hair. It does a good job of moving the hair around so you can get movement and shape, but at the same time, it's not quite as powerful, and I wanna create maximum lift at my roots, even in my rough dry. So what I opt to use instead is a regular blow dryer with a concentrator nozzle. This is gonna allow you to focus the air directly right at your root area. When you're blow drying it, you can really lift with your hands, and that air is gonna be focused in your root area. So now that I have rough dried, I've got some movement and lift going here, but my hair is still fairly wet. If you have like the perfect hair type where like you have just like a little baby wave, you don't really have any frizz, you could opt to rough dry more. But if you have a lot of frizz, or if your hair is really straight like myself, you don't wanna rough dry too much, because what happens is when the hair is hot, you're able to manipulate it into whatever shape you want. So if you're just rough drying the heck out of your hair, that hair is drying in the shape you're not necessarily wanting to create because you're just trying to get it done really fast. But it's better to just rough dry a little bit to get some shape and that moisture out of the hair a little bit, but you still want it quite damp to be able to really give the shape that you are trying to create in your hair. So as you can see, I've sectioned it off. I just use a big butterfly clip, nothing crazy. And we are gonna start at the bottom. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna place your hair directly in your section, and we're gonna be lifting and rolling, lifting. And as I lift back out, I will just rotate the brush in my hair, and I will roll it back up to my scalp. I hold it there, and then I just repeat the process as the hair is getting dry. So we go under, lift up, rotate down. You're gonna come back up, rotating, rotating, back into the head, and you repeat that process until that section is dry. So I'm gonna be using high heat and high speed. Okay, so as you can see, my section is dry. Look at the nice bend. If you wanna take it up a notch, what I like about this, for one, it has this volume boost button that sometimes I wonder how well it works or not. I always have it on though, just because I want the volume. But with this, you're gonna switch to your cold shot, which is located right on the back here. It's this little snowflake. So while this is still in my hair and that hair is warm, I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna hit the cool shot button and rotate it in the same exact way to cool that section down just ever so slightly, so the hair is gonna stay in this shape a little bit better because you've already set it with the cool shot. Like I mentioned earlier, the heat from your blow dryer onto your hair is what creates the shape that you want, and then the cool air is what's gonna help set that into place. So I'm just gonna heat it up again and do the same motions, and then I'm gonna switch to the cool shot to set it into place. All sprung and nice and bouncy, which is what I like. So we're just gonna repeat this through this bottom section, and then I will show you guys how I like to section off to get into the next group of my hair without jeopardizing what's underneath. Okay, both sides are dry. Looking so good. So what you wanna do is you're gonna take your next section. I just let out my clip. And instead of taking this whole chunk of hair here and letting it fall, I'm only gonna take a little bit at a time. So that way, wet hair is not resting on this dry hair. You do not want this damp hair just sitting there, flattening this out. You wanna keep it sectioned off. So when I move into my next group of hair, I just take out what I need at a time. So that way I can keep as much volume and shape as possible. So we're into my sides a little bit here. And because now we're up further to the head, I'm really gonna make sure I'm over directing the hair straight up. This is where you're gonna put in a little more work. I can't talk today, but this blowout dress makes it so easy. So I'm gonna walk you through that a little bit more. The brush is going under the section of hair. You're letting it over it. You're gonna go straight and directly up. In, up, And then you'll continue to just do that rolling pattern where you roll it down onto the head. You're gonna come out and you're just gonna be twisting it in place to create that bend, roll back in, and repeat the same steps until it's dry. I'm gonna now hit my cool shot, so I'm gonna turn this back on, hit that cold shot button if you want. You don't have to do this part, but it helps. Look at that side, it's already done. And look at this, I live for it. I wish it was even bigger. I can't get enough. So again, we're gonna come in, I'm gonna do my other side, but I'm only letting just what I need out so this wet hair does not rest on my dry hair below. And I'm gonna start in the back and repeat the same steps. So the hair along my face, I tend to pull it more forward, and I like to roll the hair back away from my face. I explain this more a little later, but you want to really just push that hair forward, wrap it into your brush, and rolling it away from your face as you let it out. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just move in again to our section. Again, you're only gonna take out what you need. So again, just grab out what you need. I feel like I'm being repetitive because this is so important though, I promise. But what you're gonna do now, when you get into this upper region, you wanna make sure that you are really pulling your hair straight up and over directing it if possible. If it is too hard to pull over, just focus on lifting straight up and bending and rolling the hair into that brush over directing. I love to over direct. I think it really does make a difference in getting that extra kick, but it is hard. But that's where the blowout brushes make it so easy, because you can hold with both hands, lift up and move over, and then you would roll the hair into the brush, hold it there. You're gonna come out again, lifting that hair up and over. And if you can't do over, again, just go straight up. So I'm gonna start that for you. So I'm gonna take this last piece of this section, which is gonna be closer into my crown area, which I really wanna make sure that I over direct as much as possible here to get the most amount of lift at my root. And then after you have finished drying that section, you're just gonna repeat the same steps on the opposite side. Okay, so when I am in these front side sections, I don't know if you could tell or if I explained it right, I like to blow dry it away from my face. I don't like really the hair like coming in towards my face. That's just personal preference. So I will have the brush, I place it kind of on like the side, and I still bring it forward and up, but I am wrapping it back away from my face. So when I go to let it out, it'll like swoop backwards rather than forwards. So fluffy, and it's soft. So what I'm going to do now, I've got this final little crown section in here. That I'm gonna take and I am gonna be blow drying it completely forward, really trying to create some height here. So when I'm drying my crown, I will actually grab that front little knob on the brush head, and this allows me to really over direct and extend that hair and get better control. You can do this in other parts of your hair as well, but I really like to give max effort in this crown section just to really amp up that volume. So that is an extra tip you guys could do for yourself at home to gain a bit more control. And then remember, when you are letting the hair out of the brush, try to have that C-shaped position. Okay. So I'm gonna go to where my hair naturally parts, or where I part it. I shouldn't say it naturally parts it. And I'm not like super fancy with it. Yeah, doesn't even have to be exact and parted. So I'm gonna clip this side out of the way. And I like to, on my sides, like the top layer sides, I guess you could say, is instead of doing a mohawk section where we blow dry all of this like I just did this crown region, we're gonna do that same pattern of up and over, because this lays flat, it lays down, I should say, where I feel like when I do the mohawk, I end up getting these like separated pieces that don't wanna connect once it's laying down. So that's why I opt to do it with the way that the hair falls once it's out of the brush. And then again, with my very front piece, I'm gonna opt to roll it away from my face. So I'm gonna kinda, instead of becoming up and over, it's more of like a side and out direction. And I'm gonna be wrapping that, and then as I let it fall, I'm gonna be twisting it away from my face. So now I am just gonna finish this last side, same exact motions, lifting up, rounding it out, and then I will show you how I finish off to create a little bit more volume, because if you're anything like me, you can never have enough. There's no such thing as too much volume. Alrighty. Oh, it feels so nice and soft. I needed to wash my hair so bad before I came in here to film today. So now my blow dry is complete. My hair is dry, as you can see. We've got some bounce, some movement. I'm happy with it, but because I'm crazy, I like to add even more volume, and I'm gonna show you my new preferred way that I like to do that. Okay, so I am using a balloon, this little doodad. It has these waffle plates, so it creates almost like a crimp vibe, but a little bit more intense, and it replaces teasing for me now. I still will tease like a little bit, but this makes it so easy. So what I will do is I just take my hair and I will just do a section, nothing fancy. And then I just clip that up. I use the duck bill clips because these are flat. They're not gonna create a crease in the hair. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your volume. Now you only use this up to a certain point. You are definitely not using this right along your part line. You want enough hair left out to cover what you will see. So I just take a piece. I'm gonna place my volume in here. I use it about at 300 in like 10, 20 degrees, 320. And I hold it, I open it up, come down a little bit, and it just creates this nice texture. So what this does is when the hair lays back over it, it's got more volume and poofiness to it, which I live for. So I'm gonna do another section to come on top of this. You don't want them to be too big. You wanna be able to easily close the volume so the hair can get through these waffle plates. So I'm just gonna take my next section, holding it up, and we are just placing this in right up close to the root. I normally just count like about 5 to 7 seconds, and then I open it up and I bring it just slightly back down. And look at that. Ah, I live for it. So what I do is then I will remove my hair. I take a look to see how it's looking. If I think that I can come up any higher with it, right now it is blending in just fine. You don't see that poofiness, but I wanna bring it up just a tiny bit more. I like to push the boundaries here. So I'm gonna take another section. And again, we're taking this hair and just placing the volume right in. So you do that up until the point where you feel like you're comfortable with the amount of volume that it creates. It just creates so much more shape here and it feels nice and soft. Usually what I do, because this is like my finer, flatter side, I always tuck here when I style it, but I will to create just a little bit more volume right in this area because I can no longer bring the volume up higher. If I bring it up higher, you're gonna be able to see it through my hair. So I will opt to tease. So I just take that very top section so you can see this volumed hair here. And what I'm gonna do with the fine side of my comb, I'm just gonna tease it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 teases. I let that fall. It looks a little crazy. You're now gonna take the wide side of your comb and you're just gonna gently comb down over it to soften that out. And you can do as little or as much teasing as you prefer. That's all personal preference. But look how much more fullness that lightly added. And I only did it in one spot. I haven't even put it here. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Depends on how I'm feeling. But it just curves out a little bit better where this side remains a little more flat. Like it feels nice and soft. I like the bounce I have, but the volume really makes a game changer. So I'm gonna do the same on this side and then I'll show you guys my final results. All right, I feel like I have volumed it as much as I want to. Made such a difference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do some final hairspray. I like using the Moroccan Oil Strong Hairspray through my hair. It just creates enough hold. Strong is a very, I would say like a misleading word with it. It's not like super stiff. You can get your hands through it still, but it still gives you a nice amount of hold without being like sticky or rough on the hair. So it's always my go-to hairspray. All right, here we have our finished and final look. I always live for my hair when it looks nice and full like this. Remember, when you are blow drying, you wanna make sure to always lift straight up. It's okay if you can't completely over direct, but always lift straight up to get that height with your blow dry. Again, the volume coming in at the end, saving the day to just kick up the volume even more, which is very key if you have straight, flat hair like myself. It just really adds that fullness to blend in with the roundness we create through the ends with our blowout brush. I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. I will leave all products and tools linked below in the description. I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.